Imagine saving thousands of dollars a year on a business tools. No per user fee, no unnecessary add-ons, just everything you need to scale. Sounds good. Good to be true, right? Sounds too good to be true. Well, today's guest made it a reality. He is a serial entrepreneur, best-selling author, and a fierce advocate for small businesses. From cutting cost to maximize efficiency, he's here to share the game changing strategies that level the playing field between startups and industry giants. He has he is the mastermind behind inlink.com, a powerhouse platform designed to give solopreneurs and small businesses every tool they need to thrive without the hefty price tag though. Whether you are struggling with tech, looking to streamline your operations, or just want to future proof your business, this episode is for you. Welcome to another episode of Founders Podcast. I'm your host, Ash, and this is a show where I interview proven founders and industry experts who share their stories, strategies, and insights to help you build, launch, and grow your business. In this episode, I talk to Ken, the founder of InLink. Ken, welcome to the show.
Ash, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate your time today.
Great. Do you have a favorite quote, something that inspires or motivates you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to say it exactly the same, but Theodore Roosevelt, believe that you can, and you're halfway there.
There you go. You just have to believe it, isn't it?
It's at least half.
At
Sometimes
least,
it's more. Sometimes that's all you have. Uh,
yeah,
it's the
yeah,
belief that you
definitely.
can while everything else is falling apart. So um, you got
Great
to,
stuff.
the belief is a huge part of this.
Definitely, definitely. So tell us about InLink. What does the product do? Who is it for? And what's the main problem you're trying to solve here?
Yeah. So the big problem that when I started with NLink, I was frustrated with the landscape of marketing firms taking advantage of small business, not intentionally, but just the landscape of, the barrier to entry to start a marketing firm is really low.
Hmm.
There's lots and lots of tools out there. We've been now programming pretty fiercely for the last 50 years. And the last 5 years or the last 2.5 years have been at breakneck speed, right? The programming costs have gone way down for the software packages. And I kept seeing these, you know, local gyms, med spas, chiropractors, dental offices paying 5, 10, $25,000 for this funnel, right?
Hmm.
And when I talk to them, like, yeah, they built this funnel for me, but it doesn't do anything. And they spend a lot of money. And I'm a small business owner myself, right? I have NLink and we own and operate a data center. So, multi-million dollar companies, but I also own a business on Main Street America in
Hmm.
St. Louis called Box STL with me and my wife. We operate it. And, for a business that's, under $1 million in revenue, 5, 10,000, $20,000 for a marketing campaign is a lot of money.
A lot
So
of money. Yeah.
yeah. And for me, with our original companies and everything that we did, we've always had the mindset of owning your own marketing, right?
Hmm.
As a business owner, I need to own my marketing platform. And I see these small business owners kind of taking these chances out of fear, not knowing what's out there and spending these big dollars. So, me being an infrastructure guy my entire life, infrastructure and operations, that's really where my sweet spot is. Like, what
Hmm.
if we provided a software package for these small businesses that did a lot of these things, and then we gave it to the end users and we trained them on how to use it? Because realistically, the search engine optimization and the local advertising today is, it's at least, it's 75% of it is your directory listings and your maps, right?
Hmm.
That is really where the bulk of it is. And then, yeah, the funnels are great. You need them, but you don't need to spend $5,000 or $10,000 on them anymore because, well, I've built one for almost every industry on the planet, right? So we just taken everything that we've ever had, put it in different, industry specific CRMs that have funnels, websites, took away all the barriers because we know that a business is going to have to try a bunch of different things, right? So if I build a funnel or I build a website, that might not be the final product. I might need to kick another one up. So
Hmm.
removing those barriers for small businesses of an additional expense every single time that happens was important to me, because I
Hmm.
think that it's important that, times at bat are important for small businesses or any business, right? The more times I can make a swing at a fence, it's better for me. And sometimes they're going to hit and sometimes they're not. And we all know most of the time they're not, right? So we we've coming from this world of you'd spend 5, 10, $20,000 to have a funnel built, and then somebody be like, oh, well, you can just spend another 5, 10, $20,000 to drive traffic to it.
Hmm.
Well, I think that the small business owner knows how to drive traffic to their website. They have the sign in their front, out in front. They have their current customers coming in, and they can do their own social media posts about what's going on inside their business. And all of those things drive traffic to that funnel. And I
Hmm.
think just lowering the barrier to entry to those kinds of tools and technology is really, really important for Main Street. And AI has helped us get there.
Hmm.
Over the past 6 months, AI employees have come a tremendous way. They're good. They can answer the phone for you. They can talk to your clients and through email, through SMS, through WhatsApp, through all of these different modalities that you can have your AI employees doing that 80% of the work of what's your schedule? How do I book a class? How do I get on can you send me a link to your directions? All of those things. AI is here today and is doing those really, really well. So
Hmm.
I wanted to take InLink in a place to where we were helping the small business and the solopreneur not only have that marketing infrastructure at a absolutely amazing price. Get rid of that has calendaring in there. It has your document sharing, your contract management, your products, your services, unlimited shopping carts, unlimited products.
Hmm.
All those things under one hood for a very, very reasonable price of $97 a month. Um, but then also have this AI employee package for somebody that is currently serving customers at a brick and mortar store, and they're constantly making that decision on, do I service my customer is in front of me right now, or do I answer the phone? And with AI employees for a very reasonable price, you can do both, and you
Hmm.
can do both very well, and that excites the heck out of me, and I just want to share that with as many people as I possibly can and help them do it.
Definitely. And I think what you're doing here is not just empowering the small businesses, but you're also making it easier for people to break into the market. For example, people who are in 9 to 5 jobs right now and they're trying to get into the business space, but all these barriers, like, they have to think about it like, oh, I'm giving up my, I don't know, 6-figure jobs. I can afford, to sustain with my family for, let's say, 6 months because of the saving and whatever. But I need to get the systems in place. I need to have these things in place so that I can operate as a one-man business for some time, the threshold I reach to where I can, get more headcounts in the business. So that's a very powerful work you're doing here. And I don't really do it on my show usually, but I would love to see in link, like a small demo at some point later in the episode, if you could, and if
I
you'd like
can
to
I
share.
cannot from this spot, as much as I love the technology and I dive really deep into it. I can talk high level, but I've got my engineers that really
Do
dive
the.
into the deep side. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but we do a demo every Tuesday at 4. If you go to
Mm-hmm.
inlink.com, you can sign up for that. We do live demos um, every Tuesday.
For
Yeah,
Okay, great. No problem with that. We will include the link into the description for the episode. So let's take a step back then. Uh, when you had this epiphany, did you look into the market? What was going on? Because I think there's a lot of other CRM or other tooling software. Even Google is in the same business, right? Google Workspace and Microsoft is biggest giant, right? What was going on in the market, and from your research, what gaps you have figured out, which sort of like pushed you or encouraged you to move forward with this idea? Because obviously you're running a business, so you know the fundamentals of running a business, right? Unless you have a majority of like a niche which is looking for a pain point solution, there's no point going into that niche, right?
Right.
So what happened there? Talk to us through that point.
Yeah. So obviously, when AI, well, not AI hit the mark, AI's been here for 20 years, right?
Mm,
But GPT 3.5 came out, and I'm a technologist, and I looked at it very quickly and like, okay, this is not some kind of if then this gigantic loop. This is not some algorithm that's running in the background, and this is not some kind of crazy SQL query. This is different than anything that I've ever seen. And I'm talking. I've been on a keyboard probably longer than most people on the planet, right? I got since 1980. I've been on a keyboard, so technology is something that's just part of me.
mm,
Instantly, I went to MIT. I started looking for AI courses and stuff. So I went to MIT and I went through their AI for Business program. I guess now about 2.5 years ago, right after GPT-3 came out, and just started delving in. I filed for some patents with AI and things of that nature, and it's not really hard to see in the marketplace. I have Clicks and Bricks podcast. It's on YouTube. So I've interviewed 500-600 different entrepreneurs and business owners.
mm-hmm.
One, for the brick and mortar person, I keep coming across this constant mantra of I'm constantly hiring a front desk person. I need marketing. I need these things, and I've been a reseller of different software packages. I've built CRMs for our companies, along with like the biggest CRM that we've ever built was for the AOL Netscape project for dial-up, provisioning and sales, several years ago. I don't have any non-competes on software development anymore, so it's something that I love doing and love building. And that gap, along with my passion for Main Street America, and even when I'm in small businesses, right? And I love going to strip malls and going in and talking with the owners and getting to meet them and those kinds of things. I just talk to them about their business and what's going on. And I can see it happening, right? I can see them back there at the local butcher shop and the phone's ringing and nobody's getting it, right?
Mm,
And the statistics are like 60% of small business phone rings don't answer.
mm,
And that's a huge problem, right? That's in today's world. If you get a phone call and you don't answer it, regardless of why you don't answer it, you're afraid to because half of them are spam, right? But then the other half are potential customers. So just getting rid of that, having to answer the phone completely, seems to be very interesting to a small business owner in today's environment. On top
mm,
of that, when I'm dealing with business coaches and stuff like that, like you said, they're making the jump from corporate America to their job. They need to have somebody answering the phone for them. And
definitely.
VAs are great, but the cross country, overseas phone conversations can be choppy, and the language barrier is sometimes a problem, and we can get rid of that completely.
Yeah.
One of the
With
joys that
AI.
I found in this is that now companies can support bilingual much easier than they've ever done before. Even if
Mm,
you're, if you, I deal with a lot of ethnic grocery stores and restaurants, right? And they don't have English as a first language. So taking that burden of the first call off of them helps their English speaking clients, and it helps their frustration as well. So we're not saying that the AI employee is going to do everything, but it can take 50 to 80% of the calls, answer them appropriately, send the text messages, it can answer emails, all on your behalf. And we're here to help you get that installed, programmed, and deployed into your business. And it's a fraction of the cost of an employee. And
yeah.
if you took every piece of software that we deploy, from shopping carts to calendars to contract management, it's arguable that all those pieces individually would be like $7,000 a month, and we sell it for 97 for that, for just the
Mm,
software, 500 for unlimited AI employees.
indeed, indeed. And you mentioned about few pain points here. when you were talking to the real brick and mortar businesses. You mentioned about marketing. Every business needs that. You mentioned about the operations. You know, you're outside buying groceries for your family, but somebody's ringing, so they need to pick up the call. And you also need to talked about customer needs. For example, if somebody is doesn't know how to speak in English, but they are potential customer, you should cater to them. Was there any other pain point you found out other than these three, or these were the three main?
The finger pointing issue I like to solve. It's not one that people frequently talk about, but between hosting providers and managed service providers and telephone providers and marketing firms, you know, there's a lot of finger pointing and what went wrong. Even a lot of marketing firms will point back to the business owner. Well, your products aren't good enough or whatever. Um, so the one throat to choke mindset of, if you're doing business with InLink for your online features, we've got your back. We're the one throat to choke. You can come to us and
Mm,
we'll help you, right? I'm not going to say, oh, it's the web hosting's fault, or it's the marketing's fault, or, oh, Facebook just doesn't work for your thing, right? Because there's pieces of the, it, I like to look at it as like making a cake, right? There's lots of different recipes, and we got to find the recipe for your business and what pieces do you need to have in there.
mm,
But there's some fundamentals, right? Flour and baking soda are things that you always have to have. So like Google reviews and Facebook reviews are things that you need to have. You need to have a solid map listing. If you're a brick and mortar business, you need to have somebody answering your phone anytime that it rings. If the phone ring, like, my wife gives me a hard time because I answer the phone 100% of the time if I can. And she's like, it's probably a spam call. I know it might be a spam call, but it also might be $1 million deal on the other line. And I don't know until I
yeah,
pick it up. Right.
yeah.
So having an AI employee being able to answer the phone when I'm asleep, because I do business all over the globe, and being able to answer some questions and be able to get somebody on my calendar is huge.
Indeed, it is. Yeah, couldn't agree more with that, because a lost opportunity is a lost dollar, something like that. There is a saying, right? A lost opportunity is lost money, or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So that's really great. So before we move into more deeper into how InLink helps out the users, would you be able to give us a sense of the business? How big is the business? Or where are you in terms of number of customers or size of team, etc.?
Yeah. So, we've been around for a long time. I started Hosterian in 2001. I was a co-founder. My closest partner passed away in 2017, and I became president of the company. So, operating data centers have been doing for a very long time. We've got thousands of customers,
Hmm.
and but that's more on the corporate side. It's medium to large business, and there we do. We host literally services for the largest companies on the planet, all the way down to the Main Street America company. Um, Hosterian brand doesn't align very well with the Main Street America. We sell services like co-location and dedicated servers and higher end infrastructure. So my background in infrastructure has been there the whole time.
Mm,
InLink is a brand under the River City Internet Group umbrella.
got it.
So River City Internet Group has a couple of different brands, Hosterian being our flagship, but we're really focusing on InLink marketing this year. Our data center is at 80% capacity, and it's going to be a few $1 million to change to get additional capacity, and we're doing a lot of research into liquid immersion for having a really highly efficient operating workload. But none of the things that I'm saying right now, I don't think a small business owner even understands,
Mm,
right? So the language that I use for my core business doesn't work for InLink. So InLink we launched in January of this year, um, primarily because we've been looking for an AI brand to bring to market, and um, when we got the trademark pending for AI employees as a telephone service, it became super obvious to us and to me. And when I started talking to people about how do you implement AI in your business? And this reminds me of 1999 web hosting, right? Every business in the country is going to have an AI receptionist answering the phone.
Mm.
I believe that, and maybe it's not 100% of the time. Maybe Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, while you're there, you turn it off. But after hours, the interactive voice recording, IVR is what we used to call them in the PBX world, telephone service, public exchange stuff. It blows it out of the water. Like, it is so much. I mean, you can talk fast and you can tell that it's AI, but it can detect emotions and those kinds of things. And like, one of my
It's
favorite things to program in there, and I tell everybody to do this, like, if you sense frustration from the caller, ask them if they want to get transferred to a human, right? Or take a message and have a human call them back. And I think, just those little bits of knowledge that we help on the onboarding process pay huge dividends.
definitely, definitely. And it's like internet. When there was no internet, we didn't knew that business needed a website. When internet came, every single business needed a website. Now AI came, so every single business will need AI employees who can work for them 24/7. This is not a case that should I have it or not. This is a case should I have it? This is a case of which level of AI involvement I need into my business right now. It will be going above than average anyways at some level, but you just need to make a decision right now if you want it, if you want full AI into your business right now
Yeah.
or not.
And
Cool.
I fall way more on the operational side than the marketing side, right?
Yeah.
If it works, it works. And I believe that if it works, it will sell.
Mm.
So, I'm not here saying, hey, use our software and become rich tomorrow and get thousands of customers. But I am saying that if you use our software tomorrow, your business will operate better. And
Mm.
you will have more time and more energy to focus on the things that make your business magical,
Yeah.
right? Which is you and your staff. And, if they're just giving directions or texting somebody links to the URLs on the website, they can be doing so much more.
Definitely, definitely. And I want to learn more about how this transformation works for those small businesses. But before we go into that, can and this is the question I asked to all my guests because this is very important. This podcast is called Founders Podcast. What are the tips or tricks or strategies you are using personally to gain customers? And this is a way to ask you, like, how did you got your first 10 customer? Because I don't want to ask like how did you got your first customer, because that's more you know obvious in this case because you had a multi-million-dollar business for data centers and hosting before. So
Yeah.
what's the strategies you're using currently? What's your funnel look like, and how do you get customers?
Yeah. I'll tell you a fun story about how I got my first 10 big
Hmm.
customers, right?
Okay.
Smile and dial is how I get is how I got my first customers. But my
Mm.
first 10 large customers, I'm going to go back to 2000. And I wrote an article called How to Compile FFmpeg on CentOS 3.0, I think. And I published that. And what happened was I had a whole bunch of people coming to me that wanted to stream video online because FFmpeg is a tool to stream video online.
Yeah.
And that taught me a ton about the internet and how to put yourself out there in a way that attracts customers to come to you. So the number one way that I get customers today is I do podcast tours, right? I do as many podcasts as I possibly can. And that is a wonderful resource for any business owner. It gets you so many things. It gets you exposure to their audience. It gets you relationships. It gets you video content of talking about your product that you get to repurpose. It's a huge, for me, podcast touring is a high top of funnel activity, getting people aware of my product or service. Um,
Mm.
After that, I believe, and this is a service that we do not offer directly, is retargeting. Making sure that your Facebook pixels on the website, making sure that you have some kind of retargeting advertisement going out so that once they get to your website, they're reminded about you, have something to collect their data, right? Once they're on your website, have some kind of lead magnet or whatever you want to call it that says, hey, if you give me your name and email address, you'll have these things for free. And some people give them away for free, and some of them give them away for low ticket items.
Yep.
At the pizza places, I tell them, say, hey, get their email address and we'll give them a free garlic bread the next time they order or something like that. Just anything to get them into your ecosystem so that you can continue to nurture that client over time. And with the email automations that we have now, it's never been easier to do, that kind of monthly email campaign or weekly email campaign to your user base. Outside of that, I still try to do, either 100, I try to do this twice a week, 100 outreaches, right? If that's picking up the phone and calling people, or, sending, which I don't like as much as sending out cold emails. But, if during my prospecting, I can see, oh, this person has the pain point that I have a solution for, then I am okay sending that cold email to them saying, hey, I see that you have this problem and I have a solution for you. Would you like to talk? That's where I think cold email is wildly appropriate.
Yeah,
Outside of that,
definitely.
I'd rather pick up the phone and call, or have relationship-based sales.
Got it. And especially with what Google recently did, I don't know if you've heard that they have updated their policy for the outreach email now. So you can't actually cold outbound emails to people who have a Gmail address anymore. I think Microsoft is planning to do the similar. They're the world's biggest email servers operating currently. So I think that will.
So they're not allowing you to cold email somebody?
Yeah. So if you're cold emailing and they figure it out with their AI that you're cold emailing, then they will block all the emails. I mean, the block was there anyways if you send too many emails to too many people, but this is specifically with AI. So they're trying to detect it with AI, and they made it legal by adding it into their policy so that people get discouraged for spamming, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it. Great. So
yeah, and I think cold email should not be wildly automated. Now, the first email should not be automated, but if they reply, then you can have an automated sequence kind of go there. But that first one, I think you really need a sales development representative, doing some research. I hate when people reach out to me with these kind of weird assumptions about my business and they're just way off base. Right? I'm like, what are you even talking about? Like, and it's frustrating and it disconcerts me a little bit. So, that is the role of a human today. But you can use AI assistance to help you do that by far. And it's faster and easier to do than it's ever been before.
Indeed. That's I totally agree with it. So you mentioned that you do podcasting tour, you kind of do retargeting, you reach out to people like 100 outreach every week or month. Do you do any kind of content also?
We haven't done a whole lot of content for NLink yet. So there's been a couple of gaps that we've had. It's a very robust piece of software. So our help section is completed now. And just about anything that you would want to do on NLink at help.nlink, you can go and just say, how do I set up a cold email funnel, or how do I use funnel AI to create a new funnel for me, or how do I start a website, or how do I get somebody to answer the phone for me? All of those things now we have videos for, how-tos and all of that stuff, which was fairly, intense to get all those things up and running. So we have all that content now on the website. We're going to be repurposing that, out to the marketplace. But this concept of AI employees is something that I'm really, really attached to. So that is our, out of the base line that we're coming out with. And we're working right now on 10 days to change everything with AI. And we have 10 custom GPTs for small business owners that we're going to be launching. It's going to be very low cost, right? Our Tuesdays at 4 p.m. are free. Anybody can come and learn about AI and learn about how to program your AI receptionist or your voice AI. But we're going to be giving these GPTs and a 10-day challenge to really dive into using AI employees as consultants right? These are the AI employees that you would talk back and forth with, have them write documents for you, help you write business plans, help you write financial structures, things like that. We've got 10 of those that we'll release. If you sign up, you'll get them once a day over 10 days. And it's really to kind of change everything about how you deal with AI. And then from there, move into AI employees that actually do stuff, right?
Mm,
Answer phones, send text messages, reply to Google reviews and things of that nature, send emails and answer emails for you. Those kinds of
definitely.
tasks.
Definitely. So I got the gist of like how you're getting your businesses. Tell us. Okay, let me rephrase this question. What's the most transformational success story you could share with our audience of one of your customer who reached out to you, started using InLink, and then, wow, fabulous.
Yeah, I think the biggest one that I like to talk about started as a frustration and ended up as a positive.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell this story quite frequently that I was dealing with a company. I'm not going to use the specific details of it,
Mm-hmm.
but a customer called in and was talking with the AI employee, and everything was going great. And then the customer started using a Tex-Mex kind of English Spanish mix,
Mm-hmm.
and the AI started answering in Spanish. And the next thing we know, then the user says, "Oh, you know Spanish? I'm going to speak to you in Spanish." And when and we're huge advocates that these are employees; they're not computers that you set and forget. So you need to have somebody at least weekly spot checking the calls and going through them and nudging your AI and saying, "Hey, you should for this question you should say this answer instead of, or you should say it in this way so it's not confusing." Um, the owner was very concerned. He's like, "But now I don't have anybody on my staff that can speak Spanish, and I've got this customer that's only speaks Spanish."
Yeah.
And at first it was like, okay, well, we went in and I said, well, we'll just tell it that if somebody starts to speak Spanish, say, "I'm sorry, I'm not very fluent in Spanish. I'll do my best, but round this back to English as soon as possible."
Mm.
And we did that, and that worked very well. So we tested a whole bunch, and the AI continued to bring us back to English as a primary language. But
Mm.
then the question became as well, there's a lot of Spanish speaking people on the planet.
Mm.
Right. Do you want to support these people in Spanish also? And then what we ended up doing is we just created another AI employee with its another number. And if somebody started speaking Spanish, we would just simply say, "Hey, would you like us to send you to our Spanish speaking AI agent? We don't have any real life humans that know Spanish, but we do have an AI
Spanish
employee
speaking.
that is Spanish speaking. Would you like me to transfer you to that one?" And that what we found is that if you keep the AI employees with a more narrow scope of work, they perform much better.
Mm.
So, um, and that was one of the keys behind. Oh well, we really need to have something to where these, once we train them how to get them, it shouldn't be $5,000 or $10,000 every time I need to train a new employee that does something for AI for me. So that's why we came up with the unlimited AI employees package. You still have to pay like $1.50 a month for like the phone number for that AI employee. But it's very, very minimal, and you can get as many of them in the software. You can get as many as you want, but extra resources like SMS messages and stuff like that might have additional fees.
Mm, got it, got it. And this is very beautiful because I have seen couple of demos on YouTube. People are doing this, employees digitally, and it's like, oh my god, imagine paying a receptionist who takes holidays and doesn't know, does you take 10-15 days on onboarding and doesn't know all the document thoroughly, and then they answer the question and then they take breaks and everything, but then now suddenly you spend 1 day of their salary or maybe a week of their salary on somebody who works 24/7 for you, knows exactly all the SOPs in your system, knows exactly what kind of people, or who is your ICP, and suddenly you have the perfect PA, right? So
Yeah,
it's
and
amazing.
you're going to miss things, and it's going to miss things from your SOPs, your standard operating procedures as well. And I think it's important to know, the spot checking is so important, and treating it like an employee. that has a workstation inside of your process is so important. I just can't stress that enough. That and the piece that reduces the most frustration is if you have a real live employee answering the phone and they make a mistake, and they're going to make mistakes. You cannot teach somebody how to answer every single phone call in your business in 2 weeks. It's not possible. Doesn't matter how good your SOPs are. They're going to make mistakes, and you're going to have a conversation with them. That's a stressor on a manager, an employer, and it's a
Mm.
stressor on the employee. Those stresses go away completely because now you're just saying, hey, inside a little chat window with no emotion, if somebody starts speaking Spanish to you, accept it, acknowledge it, and bring the conversation back to English as soon as possible, right? Or if the topic gets off of HVAC, right? Because for the air conditioner guys, some of those older people that call in, they like to have conversations about other stuff,
Yeah.
right? And oh, you're an HVAC sales rep or sales development representative. If the topic gets off of air conditioners too much, placate the user, right? Talk to them about that stuff, but get it back to the core topic as soon as possible. And
Mm.
AI does that so well, right? Without being rude,
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
says it in a very nice way. Whereas like humans can get frustrated, and they have bad days. They going through divorces. They went out at happy hour a little too long last night. They have a new boo in their life that is they're all excited about, and their head's in a different spot. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and all of those issues you don't have, and all those
With
issues are
AI. Yeah.
fantastic in your staff, but answering that frontline phone call or doing those reviews, I'd like a little more consistency.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. And that's what AI brings to our life, right? So we are reaching towards the second section on our podcast, Ken. So this is what I do with every guest on my show, where I kind of share what we have been talking about, and then potentially talk through and reiterate through. So you mentioned that you kind of like have been in the data center and infrastructure business for a while, and from there you came up with this we came across this pain point where you started talking with different businesses, especially the brick and mortar businesses, where you found out that there is a very deep inserted pain point regarding getting marketing onboarded, getting their operations sorted, getting their customer needs addressed, getting right kind of customer service provided to their customers. And then based on these learnings, you decided to go forward and then create a one-stop shop kind of solution for small businesses, which is called Inlink. uh, Looking at Inlink's website, and after the conversation, I found out that it's not just a one-stop shop, but it's also about having the proper solutions for your small businesses. It has CRM, it has AI employees, it has office, it has so small office, home office kind of concept, right? If I'm pronouncing it
Yes.
correctly. And then you mentioned about like how you're approaching your business, because obviously in order to relate to the small businesses, you need to understand like how they work and then kind of replicate it. You mentioned that you do outreach, you do podcasting, you kind of started doing content a little bit, and then you also do the retargeting bit, which leads to your funnel where you have a small lead magnet, or sort of like a book a meeting kind of concept, which gets you one-to-one time with your customers, which and then lead you to the to a paid customer. And then you also mentioned about a use case with one of your customers where you deployed a AI chatbot for services, and then the customer started chatting in Spanish, but then obviously you had to have a human brainstorming session there, that what will happen in that kind of scenarios, how we can solve it going forward if this something like that happens in between. Anything else you think we have missed or we should have mentioned here?
Guardrails in your AI, and we talk a little bit about it when we talked about Spanish, and
Mm,
that the air conditioner repair guy,
mm,
when the topic gets offhand, without guardrails, AI is going to accommodate whatever inputs are coming to it. So if I'm an air conditioner repair company and older guy calls and it's ask a question about a car, then the AI is going to start answering about that car. It knows about so many things, and it can leverage them. So it will accommodate the end user's desires if you allow it. So putting guardrails on your AI is wildly important, and we've gotten pretty good at that. It's your industry. If it gets off topic, bring it back to topic. It's a pretty easy line to put in, but it was something that we had to learn the hard way because this ended up being like an hour and a half phone call where an older gentleman befriended the AI, and they end up just having a really great conversation, and which might be a whole new business for somebody, just online counseling, just somebody to call and talk to. But who knows? It's a pretty wild world out there, and there's historically, ideas were cheap, execution was expensive, and the price of execution is going down by the day.
And I totally get this point, because a lot of people tapping on to this opportunity, trying to create this AI girlfriends or boyfriends, or even people to talk to, and then charging $10-15 a month, which is some people find it interesting, but here you go. We don't know what's coming to our way, but we just have to make sure that we use the technology in a positive manner, which cater to our legal system also.
Yes.
So
it is good. Amazing technology.
Yeah, definitely. Great. So let's move to the last section on our episode, which is the quickfire round. We have 6 quickfire questions, so you can answer them as quickly as you want. If you think one of the questions you can't find an answer, or you don't want to answer, just give me a shout and then we can skip that. Is that okay?
Sounds
Perfect. Great. Number 1, what are the top 3 strategies to have AI integrated into your business in 2025?
Oh, voice. I think answering your calls, review management. Reviews are so important to have and to solicit your users for, and make sure that you're answering them in a unique way that caters to the response. And then consulting, having different AI agents or employees that you can talk to. Now, with that, we're still at the point where, like, if you have a legal question and you're going to answer it, use it for that. You still need to take whatever documents are produced and run that by your legal team or your lawyer. But the cost, 3 years ago to build an operating agreement would have cost $5,000 to $10,000 to bring a lawyer and say, hey, I need an operating agreement. Now you can do a really good job of creating an operating agreement and spending $300 to $500 to have a legal review and summary of that operating agreement. So using AI like that, I think, is wildly powerful and can really give a solopreneur or a small business the same kind of infrastructure and back end that the mega companies have had. That $10,000 was nothing. Oh, I've got to do it, get it done. It gives us the power, the small business owners, so much if they use it that way.
Got it. What book would you recommend to our audience, and why?
There's a lot of books that I love, but for this specific topic, AI employees, I would say the Phoenix Project. And mostly because it helps you step back from your daily operations and look at the individual pieces. Because if you're deploying AI employees, this is not one receptionist that's going to answer every single phone call for you. It's, maybe you have an AI billing employee, maybe you have an AI customer service employee, and they can transfer calls back and forth to each other really beautifully. So understanding Kanbaning in your operational process, I think, is really important. And I've not seen a book better than the Phoenix Project that helped me visualize that in a fun, entertaining way. And I highly recommend the audiobook over the
Perfect.
standard.
Yeah, I'm gonna add that into my reading list. So Sounds
Yep.
interesting. What's one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
Passion.
Hmm. You have to be passionate about what you're doing, or else it doesn't
It's
go a
going to
long
suck.
way.
There's
Yeah,
days that are gonna suck, right? And
yeah,
if you don't love what you do or love who you serve, then it's going to be so hard to get up on those days that you'll probably give up. So, passion for what you're doing or who you're doing it for, I think, is absolutely the keystone to getting over the hurdles when they come.
definitely. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
It's my inbox management. And mostly because I host hundreds of thousands of emails for end users, and I
Hmm.
see it every single day that people struggle with email, and they look at their inbox as this repository for every message that's ever come to them, right? So I have a very simple methodology. It's either deleted, archived, or completed, and if it's in my inbox, it's a to do.
Hmm.
If it's not in my inbox, then I don't have to do it. It's either archived, completed, or deleted. And keeping a fresh inbox uh, reduces my anxiety significantly. It lets me know that I've done the jobs that I need to do. Um, and I don't have people waiting for me a whole lot. So it's just really nice to do that. And then I have the process of, I don't have to check my email nonstop anymore because it's not
Definitely.
this big thing. I can check it 3 or 4 times a day. I know that it's clean. I delete, archive, or answer. And once it's answered, it goes to complete. And then for a person that has a couple thousand emails a day, my inbox is almost always clean.
Perfect. Perfect. I like that strategy. What's a new or a crazy business idea you would love to pursue if you had time?
I have a domain name called Anonymous,
Hmm.
and I had this fun idea of a podcast where people could just anonymously call in and leave voice recordings of whatever shenanigans they wanted to do, and then publish that in real time. And I'll probably do it at some point. Just kind of fun. I, I'm getting it older in age, and infrastructure is something that I really, really love. But there's not a whole lot of fun and goofiness in it, and I'm a fun, goofy kind of guy. So I'm long term, I'm looking for something that's a little more less intense on my soul of running a
Sure.
24/7 operation
Sure.
that is uptime. That is, and I've lived in a world for the last 25 years of the services that I offer to my end users play a significant financial role in their daily business, and
Mm,
that long term, I'm going to have to pass that torch on to somebody else and let them
yeah,
keep that up because I'm not getting any younger.
definitely. And last but not least, what's an interesting or fun fact about you that most people don't know?
My life is literally an open book. Um, I think from the outside, people looking in, I get a lot of, I think people don't think that I'm scared ever or terrified to move forward because I do it in such a positive way. But I am very, very frequently scared and frustrated in this life, and trying to figure out how to not be that way is something that I think from the outside looking in, most people probably don't know about me.
Ah, oh, interesting. Well, Ken, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story. If people want to get in touch with you or they want to check out in link, what's the best way to do it?
Nlink.com is the easiest way to get there. And if you want to know more about me and read some of my weird thoughts and goofiness, kencox.com is just my personal website. And it's nothing there that's going to try to sell you anything. It's just, about me. And, if you wanted to book me to speak or come to your event or something like that, you can do that there as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Ken, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Founders Podcast.
Ash, thank you so much.